Hey y'all, so today we're going to be doing a video that I've been wanting to do for a little while, and basically we're going to test some axe head swelling liquids. Now we've all experienced a loose axe head, whether we've bought an axe at a flea market or a junk sale and it had a loose head, all the way to buying a new axe and arriving in the mail and hey, maybe it's got just a little bit of wobble to it. Now this can happen to any age axe, and what we're dealing with right here is I'm not really looking at solving any problems for that ancient garage sale axe that's got a loose head. We may need to address some other things that this could help. Some of these could help that. What we're looking at here is maybe you've had an axe a few weeks, maybe you've had a new axe for a year, maybe even a couple of years. This is really where issues can come in, and you can get one with a little bit of a loose head. Now, what happens generally is, say an axe head is installed in the factory. This axe head is dry. They've measured the moisture in the wood. It's within, their calibration. It's in what they want it to be. They send it out. Now, maybe it goes to a dealer. Maybe this axe company is in the north, they send it to a dealer in the south. The head swells just a little bit in the humidity, and then they send it, a customer buys it in Arizona, or hey, maybe it's the winter. And what has happened is that axe handle, no matter how dry it was to begin with, has swelled. And when it swelled, what happened is the wood has been allowed to crunch just a little bit. If you think like a sponge, so it swells up and out, and then when it dries back out, it doesn't spring back. It loses some of that original spring that it had. And so no matter how dry an axe head can get, you're going to be able to get that spring to it. So especially over time. Now a lot of old timers would just put their axe head, they would leave them in a pan of used motor oil in the garage or in the shop. Maybe some of them would even, kerosene, diesel fuel, any of these types of things. And they would just, maybe leave their axe upside down in a little pan. Some of these, obviously that's going to be messy, and I just have a few issues with doing that. I don't like to do so. So I have come up with a few different techniques over the years for what I like to do with my axes. And what we're going to do right here is basically test some out. Not only do I have my favorite, which is a ballistol oil here, or a mixture of ballistol and water, since it's a water soluble oil, but we have other people's suggestions. We've got traditions, urban legends. Let's go ahead and start from the top, and we're going to go down. And how we're going to test this is, I actually have a hickory dowel that I've chopped up, and then I've got these a pipe, and these slide on. So that's going to simulate an axe head. If you want to go ahead and zoom in, you kind of go ahead and get an idea. See, they're fairly lightly fitted. So if that swells up, we're going to know. Now, what is really, some people, the easiest method, and what probably a lot of people have done, is they've just taken their axe head and put it in a bucket of water. Now, if you put your axe head in a bucket of water, really, there's a lot of things that I don't like about that. Obviously, water, you can get some rust because the water is not going to, and water tends to swell something really well, so it does work well in that. But you're remembering that the wood, when it swells, is going to shrink. That water is going to dry out, and when that water dries out, you have the chance for it to have for that dent in that wood, or that wood to shrink back. It's going to be even worse than it was before, if that makes sense. If you take a 2x4, you stick in water, it swells way up, and then when it dries out, same thing is happening. Okay, so let's go ahead. If you can go ahead and make sure the camera gets a good visual idea for what we're going with here. And then we're going to set these different ingredients that I have here. I've got one that I was just doing just for a visual. You can see this has just been in here, I'd say about an hour, and you can see it's too tight. I can't even move it. That was just in water. All right, so just to show you what we're going for. Let's go ahead and so we've done all this in one take. I'm going to go ahead and stop, make this a break, and then I'm going to go over the ingredients and what some of the terms are here in just a second. Okay, since we're doing a test, I'm going to include water. Water, everybody has water. Water is safe, environmentally friendly. Let's see, we're going to see how it compares. So I'm going to go ahead and put one of these guys right down in there in the water. All right, next we have waste oil. So waste oil, most people can get waste oil. Waste oil is cheap. Waste oil is an old standard. So let's go ahead and put this guy down in that waste oil. All right, now we've got kerosene. Once again, everybody can get kerosene. Kerosene is going to be cheap for this. That's going to be a good test right here. Now we've got boiled linseed oil. Now boiled linseed oil is, once again, anybody who owns an axe should really have some boiled linseed oil. And it's a good product. It's good to use. I generally like to use it less for this and more for maybe putting the final coat over any of these other products that you might use, because it's going to tend to maybe dry just a little bit more. So boiled linseed oil basically has additives to it that make it dry out faster. Therefore, that's one of the reasons why if you use a rag to let it dry, or excuse me, let me go ahead and restart. If you use a rag to apply the linseed oil and then you put it over in the corner, it can combust because of those other chemicals in it. So it's not quite as safe for the skin or the environment or just anything, but it is going to give you a less tack free handle. All right, so then we have raw linseed oil. Raw linseed oil is more or less a processed flax oil. And raw linseed oil does not have the chemicals that are added to the boiled linseed oil. Therefore, it's always going to remain a little bit more tacky. However, in this situation, it is a better product because it's going to be more readily absorbable into the axe head. So like if I was going to tell somebody, hey, what do you have? Do you have raw linseed oil? Do you have boiled linseed oil? I would tell them, hey, soak it in the raw linseed oil and then, put a top coat on of the boiled linseed oil. Maybe you'll get a little bit less tack. Okay. And when I say tack, I mean like you touch it and your hand becomes tacky from the oil. All right, now glycerin, we're moving on here from these kind of age-old ideas. Although we will revisit that with the ethylene glycol and the antifreeze basically down here. Some old timers will also use that. I say old timers, but that has come down through history and many of us have done it. Okay, but glycerin is basically, and I'm going to go ahead and check my notes here and tell you a few things that glycerin is. Glycerin is completely safe. For one thing, glycerin, it's actually used in food. It's used as a sweetener, all this. I included it here because it has some of the properties that ethylene glycol has. Ethylene glycol, and we're going to revisit several of these as we get in. And I may recut this and put a whole list, just a list, or what I'll do is take a picture of the list that I have, and then you can see what I'm saying. But here's a few things and why I included the glycerin, and I included it first because it is so safe. It's even edible. It is miscible in, which basically means it's the property of two substances to mix in all proportions, and it does so with water, which really moisture in the air is what we're looking at here. It is also going to be hygroscopic, which is the ability to attract and hold water molecules. Once again, that's what we're looking for, because the water, if we're just soaking it in the water is so easily evaporative. It's just going to evaporate out. So the glycerin is also used in a lot of healthcare type of products. It was traditionally used, it can as an antifreeze. Once again, because it has certain of these properties. Okay. Some people will call glycerin, it could be glycerol, or I believe it's even called, I can't remember, glycerol, or anyways. It's very similar in some of its properties to ethylene glycol or propylene glycol. Anyways, it's also humectant, which means it attracts and retains the moisture in the air. So it is actually, once it's in your, say, your piece of wood, in your axe head, it's going to actually continue to collect water out of the atmosphere. So think about this. This is a really good thing. It mixes in all proportions with water. It attracts and holds water, and it actually absorbs the water. So those three things, the miscibility, the hygroscopy, and the humectant. And these next few things that we're going to be testing here all have those characteristics, and that's why they're here, because they're going to actually hold water better than water will hold. They're actually going to attract it. A lot of these have been used in skincare products, once again, because they're moisturizing. So the glycerin I'm using straight. It's a little, or I've got two different. I've got straight and with water. So it's a little bit thick, and a lot of the properties of these, if people know like about the ethylene glycol antifreeze, you mix it with water and it becomes, it has different properties. So like it would be 100% pure ethylene glycol. I'm not exactly the exact properties, but it's not actually going to, protect your radiator from freezing that much better than water. It's going to freeze nearly at the same temperature. You mix it with water and it changes and it lowers both of their freezing points. So we're doing some tests on the, so we've got the glycerin and I've mixed it right here. It's 1/3 water to 2/3 glycerin. Now we're moving over to the dipropylene glycol, and we're doing the same thing. I'm doing the first without water and then the second mixed with water, only the rest of these are going to be mixed to a ratio of approximately 1/4, a ratio of 1/4. 3 parts of the dipropylene glycol to 1/4 water. All right, I'm using the dipropylene glycol, once again, because it's similar to the properties of the glycerin, but also because there's a product on the market which we're also testing, which is Swell-Lock, and there's several others. And the common idea is that the dipropylene glycol is actually an ingredient with this and mixed with water. Basically, all this is dipropylene glycol. Of course, it could possibly be one of these other ingredients, and the ratios might be different, but that seems to be the common idea. And I would say from my research, I probably agree. So we're going to go ahead and move down. And basically what we're doing here is some of these in my research, I knew that was possibly in the Swell-Lock. Some of these other ones, just my research led me to believe, hey, I have not really heard about anybody talking about this, but let's go ahead and check them out. The polyethylene glycol, I picked it because a lot of you woodworkers may be familiar. They actually use this to stabilize wood. So like if you have green wood and you're wanting to stabilize it, you'll take it, put it in a tub of that, and it will replace the water. And again, it has those 3 characteristics of being miscible, hygroscopic, and humectant. And so it will replace the water in the wood, basically stabilizing it. So I thought, hey, in an axe head and the handle, that might be a fantastic idea. So it's on here. Okay, it is also fairly safe. It does not, both of these are not really nasty chemicals. Not gonna say that you should not be careful with them, but just keep that in mind. All right, now, just about everybody is familiar. Our next two are basically their most common uses are going to be antifreeze. And we've got what I a lot of times will refer to just as, hey, safe antifreeze, propylene glycol. It is also used in a lot of healthcare or skincare products, once again, for the exact same reasons as the glycerin. It's not going to be as much your food grade type of thing, but still, you've got it for massage oils, moisturizing creams, that type of thing, because it has those same 3 properties, and it is relatively safe. Now, a lot of people, back to old timers, the ethylene glycol is our long-standing antifreeze, and obviously it has many dangers as far as pets, dogs are attracted to it. It has a sweet taste to them, and it's extremely harmful to them. So if any of these outperform it, hey, I'm just going to be really excited, and maybe we can actually get a few people to switch over to one of them instead of using the ethylene glycol, or more or less your antifreeze. All right, now moving on, this is one of my favorites, and this has kind of been one that I have been using for the last several years. And I don't know how it's going to hold up. That's just because I like Ballistol as an oil, and it has the unique characteristics in being an oil that it's water soluble with water. Okay, so my thought was, hey, it's going to allow the water to carry it into the wood, and then it's actually going to take some of the place and seal that water in. So it's kind of, before I was doing some of my research, the same type of idea. So this right here, I've got the straight Ballistol, and then again, I've mixed it about 50-50 with water. Okay, now Swell Lock. We're to Swell Lock, and Swell Lock is a, and you can go ahead, I believe they've got this on Amazon, eBay, many other woodworking. A lot of people will use this, not so much for axe handles, but chair legs and that type of thing. And it's basically the dipropylene glycol mixed with water. Anyways, so I've just used it straight and we've got it right there. Now we'll go ahead and go tung oil. So tung oil is one of those great long-standing wood finishes, a really good oil, and I just like the idea of throwing it in here. Some people, I've heard of people trying to do like what they do with the propylene glycol, or sorry, not the propylene glycol, the polyethylene glycol of stabilizing wood. They'll take maybe a green piece of wood or a piece of wood that they have cut a pancake out of, which everybody, if you're familiar with that, you just take a log, you want to make a trivet out of it to set a pot on, it's going to want to crack because it has that center pith in there when it shrinks and dries. So a lot of people will take, say, a tung oil or a mineral oil. I like the tung oil. The mineral oil is just kind of nasty. The tung oil is more of a natural product, and you just kind of soak it in there, depending on your thickness, maybe a month, submerge the whole piece of water. It kind of does the same thing, replaces some of that moisture, stabilizing the wood with the tung oil. So I thought, hey, that's going to be a good, it's semi-drying, although if you're soaking it, I'm sure that that's going to be so absorbed in there that it may still retain some of its tackiness. We're going to find out. All right, that brings us to Danish oil, which I know a lot of people who love Danish oil. I'm not a big fan of Danish oil. All the different finishes that I will use, if I just want to use something that's not an actual varnish or not, a lot of times I will go ahead and just use a walnut oil, the tung oil, one of those other types. To me, those beat it out. Now, and if I'm going to use a varnish, I'm just going to go ahead and use a varnish, or maybe even a polyurethane or something like that. To me, I'm either in or I'm out, but a lot of folks do like the Danish oil. And what I'm going to say here too is, so like once we try a lot of these products, I'm going to do another video because a lot of these are still going to be helped by applying an oil or a finish or a wax over the top to even help them hold that moisture in better for the long haul. So hey, maybe you don't have to leave your axe handle. Even if you're in Arizona, you don't have to leave it sitting in a bucket of used motor oil because you're sealing it in. You're using one of these products and you're getting them well hydrated, and then you apply like a beeswax handle care, which you can check out our website for that. And then you're going to be able to just lock that moisture in for a much longer time, and maybe you only have to do axe handle maintenance once a year, or who knows, maybe even every several years. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up for right now, and what we're going to do is we're going to allow this to soak in these things overnight, or for 24 hours approximately. We'll revisit this next afternoon, and then we're going to take them out and allow them to dry. And we're going to go ahead and check on them maybe for the first couple of days, see which one of them's immediate, if any of them immediately, shrink back up. And then we'll maybe revisit at a week and a couple weeks until all of them lose their finish. Now, like I said, I want to revisit in another video. We're going to revisit and apply, do this with maybe the couple best of these, and then maybe a couple of the worst, and apply a couple different types of finishes. Maybe we'll even apply a tung oil or the boiled linseed oil over the top of another one of these products and see if that doesn't just give us just the perfect handle care scenario. But anyways, I'm trying to think if there's anything that I want to close out this clip with, because I'm going to be back in just a second where we're actually seeing what we're doing. All right, so while I'm going to go ahead and close this video out as I'm putting a few more of these guys in here. And what I'm going to go ahead and say is this video might be long enough, so maybe we should split this up into 2 videos. So check back on the next video to see them drying out over the next couple days to a couple of weeks, so that you can get an idea for which one of these products is the best. So check out our website, check out our other videos. If you're just tuning into this one, check out our other videos. Another thing that I'm going to note is that a couple of these products are available on our website. You can buy the Ballistol oil, which is a great all-around oil for using on any wood products, any leather products, metal as well. It's not quite a penetrating, what I would call a penetrating oil, but it works really well for that. If I've got a rusted bolt, I'll go ahead and put it on there. So it's a great all-around product, highly recommend it. And we're gonna find out how it really compares here in this test. And also you can check out, like I said, check out our website for Axis, for other outdoor living, camping, survival tools. Make sure, ring the bell. If you like this video, ring the bell, subscribe. We would love to have you as a subscriber, and I'm going to be doing a lot more videos such as this, axe design, axe technique, just all that. So we appreciate you for watching. Make sure to check out our other videos, and we'll see you on the next video. God bless.